Okay, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. And we apologize for the kind of extended break there we took. We just wanted to get everything correct for our next guest here. As you know, we have been doing what we call our candidate interviews at Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. So every 9 a.m. we bring in a different candidate. The 6th Congressional District, Georgia 6th Congressional District, has 18 candidates, 11 Republican, 5 Democrat, and 2 independents in the field to replace Congressman Tom Price, which was appointed and is now the HHS Secretary and working on replacing Obamacare, or at least that's what they tell us. Those are my words. I want to introduce our guest now, one of the candidates, Mr. William Llop. Mr. Llop, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you. Nice to hear from you this morning.
Thank you for being with us. And let me just make sure I'm correct. You did qualify on the Republican side of this. You put an R next to your name. Am I correct on that?
That's correct.
Okay. Just want to double check. Don't want to get that wrong. I want to go right for something. We're talking healthcare, Mr. Llop. First of all, let me give you an opportunity to tell the viewers why you chose now to run and your reasons for wanting to represent the 6th Congressional District.
Well, great. Thank you. Well, I'm not a career politician. Rather, my career has led me to politics. I'm the right man for the job because I have spent over 30 years in this district as a small business owner, as a licensed CPA, advising small business owners and average Americans.
I lost, sir?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I lost you there. Okay. As a CPA, let me change directions just a minute. As a CPA, what is the, some have said that the military says the national debt is the number one concern for national security. What say you concerning our debt? So you're the CPA. I've interviewed a lot of people, so we're going to go with you on what do you feel about the national debt? What we have to do, the budget deficit. I know you see those kind of things every day. The budget deficit, and if you were the 6th Congressional District representative, how do you feel about that?
Well, certainly $20 trillion in debt and counting is the wrong way to go. We need to be fiscally responsible in government and our own houses. Certainly the government makes an investment in our future, but we are certainly going the wrong way. We need to balance our budget and get our house in order by being fiscally responsible.
And how do we do that? What are some of the things you think Republicans are in control? So I know I'm going to just use a number. I think it's 435 representatives. I hope I'm not off, but you'd only be one of 435. But that being said, Republicans have the House, they have the Senate, and they have the White House. So what do you think right now? And you would be there for probably the budget. If elected, you'd be there through the budget process. It's coming up quickly. What do you think Republicans ought to do with this next budget that they put out for the American people as far as the budget deficit and how to handle the debt?
Well, we need to, when we award contracts, when we subcontract our work out, I've been working with small business owners who work for the government, and we need to tighten that portion of the P&L, of the profit and loss statement, that, if you will, against the budget. We need to reduce spending, and reducing spending means making government smaller. The Constitution is quite clear that our federal government is to keep things within a clear window of spending, and we need to be fiscally responsible, not spend too much money, cut back on our spending, and reduce the size of the federal government. We have entirely too many entitlement programs going on, and some of the welfare programs. We need to get people straight on the we need to get people straight on their budgets, which then in turn will help us get straight on the federal level. But we've got to reduce the size of the federal government.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you said entitlements, and I understand. I mean, you know, the third rail is touching the third rail is entitlements. We can't touch. It seems like we can't even talk about Social Security. We can't talk about Medicare, and Senator Rand Paul and Congressman Jim Jordan and several consider the new health care plan a new entitlement. So how do we get entitlements under control, and what do you think about that? You brought that up.
Well, really, I think a main focus is that we need to support a fair wage. Right now, we have Americans that are being paid at a very low rate. They in turn are available for certain benefits, say public housing, food stamps, earned income credit. If you increase this wage, you're going to have these people ineligible for these programs. Small business owners do not pay minimum wage. Big business is a program where it's a revolving door for their employees. Their employment model requires little skill, but more importantly, little training. This is corporate welfare, and we need to get these employers off the government payroll and give self-respect back to the worker.
Let me see if I heard you correctly, because this is something I've talked about on my show. And let me see if I can put this together, because I did not hear, and I want to make sure for voters out there, I did not hear you advocate minimum wage change. I just heard you advocate stopping corporate welfare. And what I mean by that, and you correct me, sir, if you're wrong, because if I'm wrong, I want to make sure that I've heard you correctly, because what I heard you say, I'm a small business owner, and I think what you said, I understand, because small business owners don't tend to be the ones to pay minimum wage. Small business owners tend to be the ones that look for quality people and want to pay a good wage and retain their people, not lose their people or have a revolving door. Major corporations, we actually subsidize them because we know the minimum wage is not enough to live on.
That's correct.
Did I hear that correct? I don't want to
Yes, you did. Listen, we all need to step up and support a fair wage. Small business owners, which is what I've been doing for well over 30 years, representing small businesses and average Americans. Small business owners do not pay minimum wage. The small business owner hires the worker over the long haul, developing training and self-respect. And that's really what we need to get to, is we need to get the big corporate welfare off our government system.
Well, you know, I thought I heard you correctly, because I understand that that's a subsidy that, because we don't see it, we don't quite connect with it. But that is something you have if elected to the 6th district there, you're definitely against what you call corporate welfare.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to this health care plan that is being put out, and the President of the United States, Donald Trump. What in the health care plan? It just came out. I've got to put you on the spot. I put my other candidates on the spot. Basically, it did just come out. You may not have had time to read the 123 pages, but we have it's all over the map. We have from Tom Cotton in Arkansas. We have Ted Cruz. We got Jordan. We've got Rand Paul, Mike Meadows. It's all over the map of people lining up that's not real excited about this plan that's been put out. What do you think?
Well, even the president said that, well, this is the first look at this plan, and we're going to see other issues developed in round 2 and round 3. You know, certainly the healthcare system is not an easy fix. What we have is these insurance companies which are really making a lot of money. And we need to look at that. Now, the FTC needs to step in for some of these insurance companies, and we need to control what they're charging us. We have a single payer system with Medicare, Medicaid, and the Veterans Administration. This is a very large group under the single payer system, and perhaps we need to expand on the single payer system. We're not negotiating, the insurance companies are not negotiating with some of these pharmaceuticals, and they're just gouging the American people.
Okay, I see on your list of issues, and what I try to do with every candidate is go through your list of issues on your website and give you a chance to highlight those. Immigration reform. Let's go to that one, and we got a little bit of time left here. Let's talk about immigration reform. What does William Llop's immigration reform look like?
On the stance of immigration, I live it. I'm a first-generation American. My father landed on Ellis Island legally. He became a citizen by serving in World War II. My father is a veteran, and I'm proud of it. He made himself a success living the American dream, raising his family as a small business owner. I know how to fix the immigration problem in America, and if you go to my website, you'll see that I have details. Can you imagine leaving for work? You've been in America for 10, 20 years. You leave for work, you get detained, and you get shipped back to another country. These immigrants came to America, perhaps illegally, but we have invested in these families. If you've been here for 10 or 20 years, we need to find a path of legal status for these people that came here illegally. The legal status would be allowed to stay, but never allowed to vote.
Okay, let me see if I heard you correctly on this, because I have discussed this also. We have to take some responsibility on ourselves as far as this issue is concerned, meaning, like you said,
That's really a great point. Yes, we need to.
It's like you said, they for the most part came here illegally. But if they're in their 15th year, let's get reality in place. If they're in their 15th year and they go out and get in the car to go to work and they get pulled over and detained and sent back, well, guess what? We're the ones that allowed them to be within our system for 15 years, because you're not going to be here. You're not going to be here for 15 years that maybe you didn't get some health care somewhere, you didn't go to a hospital and check in, have kids in school, whatever.
I mean, we're really, think about the amount of money that we put into them.
Right, exactly.
Our cities, our entire landscape has been developed around making homes for these people. So if you're going to wake up one morning and 10 million people are going to disappear from America, we've got people that have stores selling retail, owning homes, renting homes. This is the type of thing that you just can't have these people disappear. We allowed them to stay. We've been educating their youth.
We have some responsibility in this. But let me change the direction on that, because I see where you're going, but let me change the direction. So, but you support the president and his words of getting the bad dudes out of here, the gangs.
Well, I believe that if you're here illegally and you commit some sort of felony, well, absolutely, they need to be ejected from the country.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But if you do not have any, and I get arguments, I get pushback, I get emails from viewers, if you have not broken any laws, now here's where I get the email, well, you broke a law when you crossed the border. Okay, if you've been here for 15 years and you have not broken any laws and you have not harmed in any way anybody, then a pathway to be legal, but I didn't hear you say pathway to citizenship, correct?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I do not believe these people should ever be allowed to vote because they did not come through the system legally. Right. Now, that's just something that they're just going to have to just not be a part of. But their children, certainly born here, they will, be able to vote.
Listen, I have I have close relationship with people in the Northeast that have a construction company, a drywall construction company, and this gentleman tells me if his 50 guys, and I know what that sounds like, that he knowingly is employing people that are illegal, but if his 50 guys don't show up this morning, there's projects that multi-million of dollar investments are not going to get done. And if you just pull all these people out, we're going to find out real quick that that's going to be a problem.
It'll put our country, it'll certainly hurt us.
Let's move to
Prices will accelerate
right.
quite dramatically.
Let's move to another direction. I'm looking at your list and I can pick and choose through here, but I'm going to tell you one I'm going to pick, and I don't know if it's exactly why you have it up here, but I think the next bubble in this country to burst. Don't know if you want to have that conversation this morning, but what do you have? What is your position on, you have student loans in America?
Oh, don't you love it? Okay.
Okay. I'll take student loans in America for $200.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, really, what's happening here is we have currently our students and recent graduates are at $1.2 billion and counting. The government needs to step up and stop predatory lending. What's happening here is when I was in college, I got a guaranteed student loan. There was no interest charged until I graduated, and that's when the payments started.
Right.
Today, my child goes to college, borrows money, they're starting the note payment the very next semester. This is causing a problem in their education process, in that they can't concentrate because they've got to make a note payment. And we need the government to step in and get these lenders off our students. We need to find a method on the student loan program to forgive the debt after X number of years.
Why would you do that?
Okay, well, currently we have a program in place for certain sectors, education, medical, where after X number of years, the debt falls off. Now they keep changing the regulations, so I get approved 1 year and then the next year something changes. But really, when I go to college, all I know is that everybody keeps telling me I need to go to college to be a success. So I go to college, and if I go to Auburn, for instance, here in Georgia, I go to Auburn, it's $50,000 a year. So at the end of the 4-year term, I'm $200,000 in the hole. My educators, my counselors at the university go in and say, this is where you need, these are the classes you need to graduate with this diploma. Well, does that diploma justify a $200,000 investment, and will the buying power be in place? And that's really the problem. I'm getting advice from the system, from the education system, that says, gee, you need to finish this to get your Bachelor of Arts degree, but there is no way I'm going to be able to repay that loan. So if I pay, so I'm going to be in debt for 40 years. It's guaranteed. There's no risk on the lender. It's guaranteed. 40 years later, I'm retiring and I still have student debt. We need to have a cutoff point. I'm not sure what that is. I think on my website, I might have said 10, 15, 20, whatever years. That's subject to debate. But what happens to the debt at the end of that period of time? Who's responsible? Well, who made the money at the very beginning? That school, the institution that advised me to spend that kind of money and go into that kind of debt, you charge back the university for incurring that debt in the first place.
Well,
So
I will tell you this. Now, I'm not coming up, I don't try to get in a situation where I agree with candidates or disagree, but I will tell you this. If something like that was in place, immediately, and not agreeing with your position, but immediately, I think some of these universities would think, you know what, we need to roll back tuition, because if we have to be responsible, that's a key word here, if we have to be responsible after a certain amount of years, that this debt could fall back on us, we might want to be careful and see if we could put the student in a position they could actually pay the debt.
That's right. Now, listen, I think the education system, college education, I'm a huge advocate of it. But back when I was in college, when I went and took that first accounting class and my professor brought the newspaper in and he said, "Here, look, help wanted." That's something that I needed. I needed to say, well, can I get a job with this degree? And I need the educators to counsel, to be fiscally responsible for tomorrow for our youth. I mean, really, let's face it. The more people that go to college, the more colleges we need, which in turn is job security.
Let me ask you a couple quick questions before we close up, Mr. Llop. Trying to keep these within 30 minutes for all candidates. You have down term limits. Are you making a commitment to only a certain amount of terms that you would?
Absolutely. I believe we need term limits in government, particularly in Congress. I think 2 terms in the Senate, 12 years is great. I think 4 terms in the House is plenty.
So 8 years in the House, 12 years in the Senate, and that's it.
That's it. Now, when you have House of Representatives in there for 20 and 30 and 40 years, it just doesn't really work. We need to bring fresh ideas to Congress every term.
All right. Last. Let me wrap up this. I've asked every candidate the same question, kind of to close up. The 6th congressional district, which you live in, what specifically do you want to achieve for the 6th congressional district? What do you feel you need to represent? Because sometimes I think we lose focus that you're actually representing a district in the state of Georgia. So for those people there, those voters, what is the issue that you want to most go to Washington and represent them?
My experience in public accounting, working with small business owners, I am completely aware of how regulations in government are tying the small business owners' hands behind their back and affecting the success of these businesses. We need to get government regulations out of small business. I am also aware of how the tax code is affecting the taxpayer, and most importantly, the middle-income Americans who are paying the most tax. I know how to fix the tax code and how it needs to be changed for people to be successful, to put more money in their pockets, which in turn will put more money in our local economies.
We would be, it would take too long to answer this piece by piece. Do you generally support the President of the United States and the direction he's going at this time?
Oh, absolutely. I think we have a true entrepreneur, a businessman in this office. His enthusiasm and his vision reminds me of the Reagan years of when certain tax codes were made, which really promoted growth in America. And I'm looking forward to that for President Trump to lead us in that direction. And I want to be a part of that with him. My experience will really help him get what we need to get accomplished here in America.
Mr. Llop, take the last 30 seconds here and appeal to the voters out there. What do you want to say directly to them as we close?
Well, great. Thank you. Real life experiences is what I can bring to Washington. These issues that we've discussed today is what I have real knowledge about, because I work with it every day. I'm the person that you need to send to Congress with real life experience that can go represent real people in our district. This is why I'm the right person for the job. Go to my website, William Llop, CPA for Congress, or search Llop, L-L-O-P, for Congress. Most importantly, I need the people of the 6th to send me to Congress to make a difference, to build a future, a new future for America. With only your voters' help, with your vote, can these voices be heard. Vote Llop, L-L-O-P.
Mr. Llop, we thank you very much. We tell all candidates this. from FetcherNews.com, FYNTV. We thank you for your willingness to serve, and we wish you well during this campaign. Have a nice day, sir. Thank you for being with us. We've been talking with candidate William Llop for the 6th Congressional District, and we're going to take a brief break and come back and wrap up our show. That was Mr. William Llop, and that will be on our YouTube channel later today. Lonnie, take us to break.